So just made a quick pit stop in Scipio, Utah for a bathroom break and topping off my gas tank, which is pretty much the only thing Scipio is good for. I used to make it my regular pit stop on my way to Arizona when I was in school there. And so just hearing the word Scipio is almost like a Pavlovian reaction for my bladder. So anyway, now I'm on my way to Escalante, Utah, where I plan to do an overnight backpacking trip to the remote Cosmic Ashtray, which is basically a giant volcano-like structure in the middle of the desert that's filled with this beautiful red sand. And from everything I've been able to research, it's basically a one-of-a-kind geologic phenomenon. So pretty excited for this one. It's been on my list for a good minute. And really, I haven't been great as a Utahn at exploring southern Utah the way it deserves to be explored. I mean, you could argue that that whole southern Utah region is one of the top 5 most beautiful places on Earth in terms of just unique, awe-inspiring geologic formations. I mean, there's nothing quite like it. The big concern on a hike like this, you know, there's no trail, there's no real, other than GPS, there's no real way to guide you there. And so the concern is that your phone is basically your lifeline at a place like this. And if you break or lose your phone or the battery dies for whatever reason, you're in a tough spot there. And so that's, you know, my goal on this trip is to protect my phone like my life depends on it, because it does. And then it's also to get some beautiful images of this location, and just to, you know, one of the benefits of doing overnight trips as opposed to day hikes, because I tend to favor the day hikes. I like to sleep in my own bed, and I'm more than happy to hike in the dark if I need to get to places. But one of the benefits of doing an overnighter is, first of all, as a photographer, you don't have to be in a rush when it comes to getting the best light and then getting home safely. You just go to your location, leave yourself plenty of time, wait for the light to be perfect, get your picture, and then also you get to kind of sit there and enjoy, just soak in the scenery and soak in the location. I think a lot of times on these day hikes, you're in such a rush to get there to beat the light, and then such a rush to get home to beat the dark, that you don't really get to just be in the moment and just enjoy the place. So this hike, it's not a lot of elevation gain, but I have heard it's kind of a slog of a hike. You're going through lots of like uneven terrain, and route finding's difficult, following your GPS, and you're walking through sand for part of it. And so it's probably not ideal for an overnighter, but I don't know, hiking back in the dark in very unfamiliar and maybe unforeseen conditions probably isn't great. So I figured, do the safe thing, stay overnight, just enjoy the trip, and come back in the safety of daylight tomorrow. So looking forward to it. We'll catch up when we get there. Just made it to the trailhead. There is nobody out here, so given how late in the day it is, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be all on my own out there camping. But perfect day out here, feels like about mid-70s. Good day to see the Cosmic Ashtray. bars with like 5 plants. Just set up camp in this pristine little pocket of sand. This is like probably the only campable spot within a mile of here. But yeah, just perfect little flat spot there for my little 2-man tent. A little bit of shield from the wind. So now I'm gonna go down to the spot down here where you can get access to it. A lot of the reviews online warned you not to go in there alone because it can be hard to get out, but the reviews online also totally were overkill about how sketchy the hike in was and how hard it was. That's typically the case, I find, with these online reviews, is you kind of get these old nerds who hike with their trekking poles. I mean, if you do that, that's fine, but you know, the guys that wear their little shade hats and their trekking poles and spend thousands of dollars at REI for stuff that you don't really need. Those are the guys who write these trail reviews. I mean, not that caution shouldn't be taken properly, but I don't know. I always take those reviews with a grain of salt. on the menu today is pad thai. Seemed like kind of a risky choice with this kind of thing. Could be real good, could be real bad, but luckily the camping rule applies here where everything tastes about 2 or 3 times better. So this could be total garbage and I'm sure I'll still like it. Now we wait. So got packed up and left pretty early this morning. Wanted to beat the heat of the day for the walk back. Only got about, I would say, 3.5 hours of sleep last night, which I guess on camping standards really isn't that bad. Anything 3+ is a bonus when you're camping, in my opinion. But it was crazy just how quiet it was out here last night. I mean, other than my tent occasionally rustling in the breeze, I could hear almost nothing except some really weird animal that I have no idea what it was. My best guess is maybe a bighorn sheep that was grunting around my tent for a part of the night. But yeah, all in all, a pretty successful overnighter. So I really can't say enough about this Gaia GPS app. I'm not sure how well it's showing up on the camera there. It seems like a lot of people who use the All Trails app have had issues with route finding on this hike, but this app has served me extremely well. Now I'm back in the sand again. I think it's pretty much all sand from here on out. Made it to the home stretch. It's about a half mile or so through this sand, and I'm done. What a beautiful sight. Oh. You know what? I don't even care that it's warm. This is going to be the best Coke I've ever had in my life. Oh my gosh. So overall, I would rate that as like a 9 out of 10 type of hike. Really cool. I mean, as far as the destination goes, it doesn't get much cooler or unique than that. My only regret is that I hauled my big old 5-pound wildlife setup with my separate camera body and 600 millimeter lens all the way over that rough terrain, which, you know, I thought about leaving it, but you just never know when you're going to have that encounter with a cougar or some other cool animal that you want to photograph. So I just pretty much, as a general rule, just always take it with me. So passing a little town here called Fayette, Utah, and this town has a special place in my heart because this is where my grandpa on my dad's side grew up. His grandpa had been the one to come down and settle this area when the Mormon pioneers came to Utah. And just this little town of like 200 or 300 people never really became much of anything. And I owe a lot to my grandpa for kind of the decisions he made in his life after he had grown up here and spent his childhood herding sheep up in these mountains up here. He decided he didn't want to stay here his whole life, and he went off and served in World War II. And when he got back, he went off and became a rocket scientist, of all things. And it kind of changed the trajectory of his posterity in just huge ways. So of course, this just happened. Just as I was leaving that town of Fayette, my tire blows out. And of course, the place I get a flat tire, there's like no flat ground, so I had to back over this stupid hill with like broken beer bottles all over it. So I'm probably gonna get myself another flat in the process of getting this damn thing out of here. But man, it wouldn't be an adventure without popping a tire, wouldn't it? So finally got that whole mess taken care of. Shout out to Discount Tire. Those guys have come through for me so many times, getting my tires taken care of in a super quick, efficient way. I've had like a crazy streak of bad luck when it comes to tires over the last like year and a half. Just like random nails ending up in my tires, that kind of stuff. So this is like the 5th time I've had to go there on like a short notice, and every single time they've gotten me in and out the door in under an hour, which is just nuts, especially like on a Saturday afternoon like this. So what could have been a total day ruiner ended up just being kind of a 2-hour inconvenience between fixing the tire and getting it taken over to Discount. And so disaster averted. That was like possibly the worst spot to get a flat tire though. There were no flat spots on the side of the road for me to pull over and fix it. So I had to freaking back my truck into a ravine and then back it up against the fence to find a flat spot. And I'm laying there in a thorn bush in like broken beer bottles trying to fix this stupid thing. So whatever. We're gonna get home in one piece, it looks like, and great trip.